Steroid scandals, abuse allegations, sex scandals, trafficking. Power is everything to Vince McMahon, and sooner or later the WWE's kingpin's wrongdoings over the years have finally caught up to him. Although Vince McMahon has survived ordeals where people believed he was down for the count, only to emerge stronger than ever, critics are arguing his current crisis is unlike any other and he's done. Vincent Kennedy McMahon's life story is a tale of ambition and innovation. McMahon has seen opportunities and taken them, often succeeding but occasionally failing, and in some cases failing miserably. Long before he became owner of the WWF, McMahon saw the potential in closed-circuit entertainment. His investment in broadcasting Daredevil Evel Knievel's jump over Snake River Canyon cost McMahon a reported $250,000. That wasn't the only financial failure though. Vince and wife Linda invested in a construction company, and when things went bad, they filed for bankruptcy, reportedly around $1 million. A CNBC article stressed how things bad were for McMahon. The McMahon's house was auctioned off, and Linda's car was repossessed right from her driveway where she was pregnant with their second child. The McMahon turned this into a learning experience, focusing on what they knew and learned from their past. In Vince's case, he focused on professional wrestling. In 1982, Vince purchased Capital Sports from his father Vincent James McMahon, but the purchase was risky. Vince's father included a provision in the contract where his son had to pay 4 installments within a year to own the company. If he failed to make a payment, Vince Jr. would lose every penny he had paid. Vince Jr. succeeded, but this was just the beginning. He was ready to take an equally bigger risk. He wanted to turn the WWF from a regional promotion based in the Northeast into a national promotion that defied professional wrestling's traditional boundaries. For decades, promoters maintained their own regional kingdoms, with an unwritten agreement among promoters that they wouldn't do business in other promoters' territories. Looking at Vince McMahon's life, it's clear that he has the gift of seeing opportunities and improving on existing ideas. The spread of cable TV meant that fans watching wrestling in one promotion could see wrestling from another promotion if they had access to cable television. McMahon wasn't the first promoter to see the potential for promoting outside one's backyard. However, unlike other promoters, he was going all in. Not only did McMahon acquire the rights to USA Network, he began buying TV time across the US, and soon was promoting shows in other promoters' regions, often signing their wrestlers as well. It was risky, as no one had ever dared this so flagrantly. McMahon also took a chance when he replaced longtime babyface champion Bob Backlund with the larger-than-life Hulk Hogan, shifting the world title picture from a wrestler whose matches were technically based to that of charismatic showman who's resembled his namesake, the Incredible Hulk. Hulk Hogan had been popular during his time in the AWA, but AWA promoter Vern Gagne failed to maximize Hogan's potential. Again, McMahon's vision and ability to do what another promoter hadn't. Vince's success at expanding into other territories was just the beginning. He saw the opportunity to tap into the untapped goldmine by promoting a can't-miss wrestling show on closed-circuit television, much as boxing promoters booked big fights so fans who couldn't attend the live event could still see things. Much has been written about his show WrestleMania. Wrestling legend has it that McMahon gambled everything on WrestleMania's success, and while this has been disputed, WrestleMania was a huge risk.
It was a huge gamble, the biggest gamble I've ever been involved with. It was a roll of the dice.
Once again, McMahon's willingness to gamble on himself paid off, with WrestleMania increasing the WWF's popularity in the mainstream and the WWF becoming a phenomenon. Vince piggybacked off WrestleMania's success by landing a network TV special, Saturday Night's Main Event. He also expanded the WWF's pay-per-view lineup, slowly rolling out new shows such as Survivor Series, the Royal Rumble, and SummerSlam. McMahon's vision led to him commissioning signature songs for the WWF superstars that would pay the WWF rather than using licensed music the WWE had to pay for. While the WWF's bevy of big men led to some popular box office attractions, the media and the government's scrutiny of athletes abusing anabolic steroids and other performance-enhancing drugs put the WWF under a microscope. Consequently, Vince McMahon shifted the WWF's long-standing practice of pushing big men to focusing on technically sound wrestlers such as Mr. Perfect, Bret Hart, and Shawn Michaels. This quote-unquote new generation wasn't as successful as the rock and wrestling era, but it was enough to keep things running smoothly while the WWF weathered the steroid storm. Vince McMahon had endured many trials and tribulations, as we've documented in our Behind the Titantron series, and in one case, an actual federal trial. The steroid scandal did more than force the WWF to change the look of its wrestlers, it brought federal attention to Vince, and he was tried for steroids. Vince McMahon faced prison time, but he fought the case in court, emerging victorious and reportedly more confident than ever. McMahon would need this confidence as the WWE faced stiff competition from WCW. It's been said that necessity is the mother of invention, but in Vince McMahon's case, he's always been more comfortable with the quote, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. By 1995, WWF was in a serious slump, with creative on life support and McMahon so desperate for a new star that he pushed King Mabel as a monster heel. Things worsened in 1996 when WCW launched its New World Order storyline, and by some accounts, McMahon was considering scaling back the WWF into a regional promotion. Thankfully, that didn't happen though, as McMahon saw ECW's winning creative formula and fine-tuned it for the WWF, bringing in edgier characters, blurring the lines between babyfaces and heels, and amping up the TNA. This and adding some much-needed star power such as The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Mankind helped Vince turn the WWF around, re-establishing itself as the #1 promotion in wrestling. Once again, the WWF's momentum helped it land other deals. One was the company's success in becoming a publicly traded company, and whilst Vince McMahon still maintained control of the promotion through the majority share of the voting stick, taking the WWF from a privately held company to a publicly held one brought in millions and millions, giving the WWF even more opportunities. The WWF's turnaround in the ratings and introduction of a second weekly show, SmackDown, was only the beginning. The WWF's main competition, WCW, went down in flames in 2001, as did ECW, wrestling's little engine that could, at least until 2001. McMahon saw an opportunity and acquired both promotions' tape libraries and their IP, reportedly for a pittance. These acquisitions would be useful when the WWE relaunched ECW and began a video service offering classic content, which eventually morphed into the WWE Network. Despite his many successes, Vince McMahon occasionally failed, with his biggest failures coming when he stepped outside his comfort zone of wrestling. His World Bodybuilding Federation was a bust, but this paled to the debacle known as XFL. Vince McMahon's decision to launch a professional football league was ambitious, but in hindsight wasn't planned well or executed well, resulting in it fading fast and costing. Outside the ring, McMahon saw the WWE deal with the sudden death of beloved superstar Eddie Guerrero, and later the horrific incident involving Chris Benoit, his wife Nancy, and their son Daniel, two situations that led to media scrutiny. Whether fans felt that this was damage control, an effort to buy good publicity, or sincere concern, the WWE implemented its wellness policy to protect its wrestlers' health and give any current or former superstar free access to substance abuse treatment. While Vince McMahon has been accused of resting on his laurels in terms of storytelling, McMahon has never hesitated to find new ways to grow the WWE's business, even if it meant taking risks. In 2020, McMahon replaced co-presidents George Barrios and Michelle Wilson with Nick Khan, who helped McMahon land blockbuster TV deals. Eventually, Khan helped the WWE acquire more deals, including Peacock and international rights packages. McMahon also dealt with a new competition from All Elite Wrestling. His traditional plan of running direct competition against a rival failed miserably when NXT repeatedly lost in the ratings to AEW's Dynamite. However, the competition was the least of McMahon's worries when the COVID pandemic struck in 2020. Despite a global quarantine, the WWE found ways to air its content, initially airing programming at the Performance Center and later introducing the innovative and award-winning Thunderdome concept. The WWE earned a record profit during the pandemic, with Wall Street embracing the WWE as a reliable stock. By the summer of 2022, things were looking spectacular for WWE. Ratings were up and the WWE was beginning to expand by running more PLEs and stadiums. Then, scandal struck, as Vince McMahon was accused of paying a woman millions of dollars in exchange for signing non-disclosure agreements, reportedly about an extramarital affair. Over time, more NDAs are uncovered and WWE launches an investigation into misconduct by McMahon. McMahon abruptly announced his retirement in July. The situation appeared to worsen when allegations were made that Vince made unrecorded payments of around $17 million that were improperly reported. The WWE also revealed it had been subpoenaed regarding the NDAs. McMahon's refusal to stay down was seen in December 2022 when he announced that he wanted back in the WWE and that any attempt to sell the company was contingent on him running it. Despite the WWE board of directors telling him to stay retired, while also mentioning that shareholders will sue the WWE should Vince return, McMahon used his controlling voting power to put himself back in power. Despite some initial rumblings, McMahon began the process to sell the WWE. He tapped into his deep pockets to repay the WWE funds the investigation into his misconduct claimed he owed the company. McMahon later settled a demand from former WWE referee Rita Chatterton, who alleged McMahon of sexual assault in the 80s. After months of speculation over who would buy or merge with the WWE, Endeavor announced it was merging with WWE to form TKO Holdings. Once again, McMahon had done things his way, seemingly succeeding and emerging more successful. Management made it clear McMahon was here to stay, giving full control to Triple H and Creative, and everyone seemed happy. Business was booming and new TV rights deals were signed or in the works, so what could go wrong? The WWE's announcement that it had negotiated a $5 billion deal to stream Raw on Netflix for the next 10 years was further proof Vince and his vision had paid off. Unfortunately for McMahon, one of the women he had supposedly paid off sued him, making shocking allegations against him and claiming he failed to follow through on paying the money owed under the NDA. After Slim Jim, the WWE's biggest sponsor, announced it was putting its partnership with the WWE on hold, rumors circulated that other advertisers might follow Slim Jim's lead. McMahon abruptly retired from the WWE, sparing the company the problem of forcing him out. Is this the end? And without sounding melodramatic, there's still serious discussion about whether Vince McMahon will return to WWE. The allegations against him are just that, allegations. However, it's believed that more lawsuits could follow as well as possible criminal charges. It appears that this matter will be around for a long time, and until every possible case has been resolved, McMahon is done with the WWE forever. Rumor has it that anyone associated with Vince McMahon during his time in WWE could be released due to the allegations that WWE officials ignored McMahon's alleged misconduct and did nothing to stop it. TKO wants nothing to do with Vince McMahon right now, and it's likely that they'll want nothing to do with him even if he's absolved of all charges. Nevertheless, Vince McMahon's ability to survive means that should he be absolved, he'll likely bounce back with a new project. It won't be with the WWE and it may not be with wrestling, but his seeming inability to keep quiet means he'll be around until the day he's planted in the ground.